Let's talk about the Lewis structure of methane, right? So methane, let's talk about Lewis structure of methane. So methane is actually one of the simplest organic molecule, and it's pretty much used as a uh, uh, an entry pretty much into a small bit of organic chemistry, but obviously general chemistry, and it's kind of the template of drawing Lewis structures. So the first thing I'm going to do is write out my atoms and how many I have. So I have one carbon, four oxygen. One carbon, four hydrogens. So then I'm going to go to the periodic table and see that carbon has 4 valence electrons, right? And then I simply get that from the periodic table, right? If you do not know how we come up with these electrons, I've made several videos about how to interpret the periodic table. So just go ahead and check those out. Hydrogen is in that first column, so therefore it should have 1 valence electron. So when I count out my total electrons, this should be 4 electrons plus 4 times 1, which would be 8 electrons total, right? So the only thing I'm doing is counting out the total electrons I have placed, right? I have 4 hydrogens, but it's one valence electron per hydrogen. So this is why we get 4. We have to multiply the two. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 4, so it will be 8. So usually, when drawing Lewis structures, the atom furthest left in the formula is usually your the atom furthest in the formula is usually furthest left in the formula is usually a central atom. So at this time, I could actually put my hydrogens around the carbon atom. Now we have 8 valence electrons to place. So at this point, we could just go ahead and start forming single bonds. And the reason why we form single bonds is that it's the simplest bond that can be formed. A single bond consists of 2 electrons. In this case, it's 1 from the carbon and 1 from the hydrogen. Now let's count how many total electrons we've placed. This would be 2, 4, 6, 8, right? So we've counted 8 valence electrons, and this is what we actually see here. So this would actually be a plausible Lewis structure for the methane molecule. Now, I wanted to as an amateur in drawing Lewis structures, you could actually derive this simply from the valence electrons. So carbon has 4 valence electrons around it, right? We get that from the periodic table. We just said that carbon actually has 4 valence electrons. Hydrogen, on the other hand, has 1, like we said before, so each hydrogen is going to have 1 electron around it, right? And so the reason why I draw these single bonds is because these ended up sharing, right? So these form a single bond. So now you could see everything coming together. And so this is very important to make, right? So this is how we come up with the Lewis structure for the methane molecule.